Power CEO, Dr. Chris Dakota, and we're going to talk about his company and the technology that they're developing and how it may help us solve the problem of hydrogen storage. So, Chris, welcome to EV World.
Bill, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Well, it's great to have you with us. Let's start off, first of all, let's have you give us a little bit of a background on Neah Power. What's the history of the company?
Yeah, so the brief history of the company was founded in 1999. It's had in excess of $55 million invested into the company. So you're really seeing the fruit of that labor. Today, it's a fully reporting public company traded on the bulletin boards under the ticker symbol NPWZ.
Right.
Previous investors into the company included Intel Capital, Novellus Systems, Tier 1 VCs. We've got grant awards from the U.S. Navy and others. So we've got a very strong patent portfolio around our products. And over the last year and a half to 2 years, we've really been commercializing products. And we also made an acquisition in November 2013. So what you're seeing today at the company, the three different platforms of products that you just mentioned, is really the fruit of this investment into the company, as well as the commercialization of the technology that we acquired in November 2013.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to sort of focus on, I think, is just to give people a sense, is the power chip, which, as I understand it, is in essence a very, very tiny fuel cell that you're using in various charging various mobile apps. Sort of give us a little bit of a sense of what that is.
So the power chip is based on a all silicon platform. So the differentiation there is we can use a 5 to 8 generational computer chip factory to build that fuel cell. It uses very traditional computer chip manufacturing to build that fuel cell, so it's very capital efficient, meaning we don't need to raise capital to build infrastructure to produce the product as most fuel cell companies do. That product, the power chip product, we've demonstrated 2.5 times more power per unit area, per unit volume than the next best alternative. We've shown anywhere from 5 to 10 times longer lifetime. And it has a unique capability that it can operate without air. All fuel cells work by combining a fuel that has got a hydrogen molecule with oxygen from the air. What we can do on the power chip is, rather than accessing air, we carry a liquid oxygen, which is dilute nitric acid, and it's a very efficient molecule for that purpose. It allows us to operate in non-air breathing or anaerobic environments. So that particular product, the power chip, is targeted at a variety of defense-oriented applications. Again, think non-air breathing environments, underwater, unmanned aerial applications, contaminated environments. The most recent shipment on that platform was to the government of India, where they're looking at a follow-on licensing deal to license our technology to be produced at a factory that they built about 15 years ago. So it really hits on that manufacturing efficiency value proposition.
Yeah, no, well, how big are one of these things? I have the sense that it's sort of like the cell itself is like postage stamp size, but
yeah.
Give me if you have something to give me an example.
Bill, yeah, if you can pause, when you edit it, let me go pick up a sample.
I will do that. Yep.
I was just looking around. I don't. Okay, whenever you want to resume.
Okay, yeah. So, all right. So, if you can kind of show me, if you've got it handy, the example. There it is. Okay, that is a fuel cell stack that runs off of, I gather, what would you say, nitric acid?
Okay, so you want me to do a quick...
Yeah, if you would, yeah.
Assuming I'm going to edit out some of these dialogue, but... So this is a single electrode. This acts as the anode, and then when you have a second system that acts as a cathode. So this is effectively the active area. As you can see, it's about 3 centimeters by 3 centimeters.
Right.
I can scale by it. Once it's packaged into a cell that's about that big, that does 1 watt of power.
Oh, okay. So you sort of sandwich them together then.
You sandwich them up together, and then you can sandwich as many of these as you would like.
Ah, okay.
Larger power range. And we've got other samples, and we've obviously built systems based on this platform, but this is what we call the power chip. This technology was fundamentally developed at the company, meaning the patents are cleanly owned by the company. It's fundamentally different from the other types of fuel cells that are out there at this point in the market.
Right.
This gives you the 2.5 times more power. Again, remember, this is effectively putting metal films onto a silicon substrate. That is what a computer chip does.
Right.
So we get the same benefits of longevity and consistent performance that you've seen in the computer chip industry. And we also expecting to leverage a lot of the economies of scale that you've typically seen in the computer chip industry using this platform, the power chip platform.
So stacked together, what conceivably, I mean, what would you sort of envision as a typical output capacity in either watts or kilowatts of a sort of a typical application?
At this point, we are typically looking at under 5 kilowatt range systems.
Okay.
So for certain automotive applications, if you create a hybrid of a fuel cell and a battery, the fuel cell, it wouldn't be a pure play fuel cell opportunity. You'd have this stack act to charge a battery pack.
Right.
So you effectively get the strengths of both a battery and a fuel cell in that case.
Okay.
So on the power chip side, again, we are typically targeting under 5 kilowatt type applications.
Okay.
Most of the applications are in the 50, 100, 300, 500 watt applications. Think off-grid power. For example, we announced a MOU with a drone company that's in the 100 watt range where we incorporate a fuel cell into a drone that would extend the range of the drone from a couple hours to as much as 8 hours.
Okay.
So there's a variety of individual markets that in and of themselves may not be multi-billion dollar, but they are very significant. And then in aggregate, they end up being very large markets.
Right. Okay. So you've got the power chip, which can be stacked and layered and made into up to 5 kilowatts type thing. You've also then you've developed this other device, which essentially is sort of something the layman might be able to use more readily, which is the buzz box, I think it's called, or buzz bar.
The buzz bar suite, yeah. Very pleased to have one of our units here.
Okay.
So this is what we call the buzz bar. You can charge it with solar option. This is the actual buzz bar. I'm not sure how well you see it in the contrast.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
There. You can plug this into a USB port and charge it. As you can see, the light now is charging from a USB port.
Right.
Alternately, you can charge it from a solar panel.
Okay.
So the solar panel dumps the energy into the buzz bar.
Right.
And in the event of an emergency, you can take a AA1 or multiple AA or AAA batteries and pop it into what we call the buzz bat.
Okay.
So in an emergency situation and you got to make a call and you don't have power, you pop in a battery and the solar panel takes the power from the AA battery and the solar panel and dumps it into the buzz bar.
Okay.
And then you plug in your consumer electronics into the USB port, and you've got power going there.
Right. Okay. So that's basically if you will, that's a battery play per se. There's nothing necessarily fuel cell associated with it.
We are bringing out a fuel cell option in the Q4 timeframe. We're starting with this product.
Right.
But imagine the same form factor. Now we'd have a fuel cell that, similar to what the solar panel is doing, the fuel cell would charge the buzz bar as well. The cool thing about this is now you've got the ability to charge via solar. You can charge from the grid. You can charge from AA batteries, or you can charge from a fuel cell. And today, there's really no product out there that gives you that type of functionality for a true off-grid experience.
Right. Very cool. Okay,
The
so
cool thing is that you can fan out multiple panels.
Oh, okay.
And now be able to
Whoop.
fan out multiple panels.
Just snap panels together.
They just snap them magnetically, and when you've got 3 panels together, you can charge the battery at about the same speed as you would charge from the grid.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
Now if you're a backpacker, camper, off-grid, natural disaster, emergency, you want to be having as many possible sources of power.
Absolutely.
And the cool thing is I hope we edit.
Yeah. Well,
the cool thing is that they all stack back together.
They all stack back together, right.
So you've got a very modular system that allows you to stack multiple solar panels on top or fan them out. And then once the bar is charged, you just need to carry this unit.
Right.
You don't need to carry the whole assembly.
Okay. And typically how good, let's say you got an iPhone, how long would the buzz bar, be able to keep the iPhone running?
It would charge the typical iPhone about 3 times. It would charge a Samsung Galaxy Note, which is one of the bigger phones, about 2 times.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Yeah. So what we have is we've got a product for basically charging mobile devices. I could use it for my iPad. I could use it for my Galaxy, use it for my iPhone. I've got a micro fuel cell that can be stacked and used to power things up to 5 kilowatts. Then, excuse me, now you've got this other avenue, then that's the one where really got me interested, was the fuel cell reformer technology that, and I gather this is what you acquired last year, correct?
Correct. That is correct, yeah.
Okay. And so what intrigued me about this was that, as you and I know, and probably most listeners know, storing hydrogen on a vehicle requires extraordinarily strong materials and a great deal of pressure to, we're talking, anywhere, up to 10,000 PSI, and tanks wrapped in Kevlar and things. And this is not only expensive, but it also, is equivalent to riding around, unfortunately, I hate to put it this way, but riding around on a bomb.
Although, you're riding on a rocket.
People will argue that point, but still, I'm not necessarily comfortable with all that pressure. I get queasy when I'm charging 40 pounds on my bicycle tire, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So we've been looking now for years for a way to use a liquid fuel, and I've been around this thing long enough to remember when Ford announced its original, gasoline reformer, and we've seen these things sort of come and go. There's methanol that's been looked at as a possible hydrogen molecule source, and now we've got this one, which I really found interesting because it's based on formic acid. And I thought, formic acid, and so I started doing a little research. Well, I got to find out more about this. So, tell us about this new way to get hydrogen for a fuel cell.
Yeah. Bill, for the record, can we take a pause here? I'll go pick up our samples from next door so I can show you the samples for that as well.
Absolutely, yep.